With the arts funding cuts reported by the state last month, Norfolk County Council outlined its plans to reduce the arts budget to £85,000 in the next financial year. It caused a harder effect on the theatres in Norwich.
I'm disappointed that often the arts are the first section of society to receive cuts and to lose out on funding. And I think it's really archaic that arts isn't given the same value as other sections of education.
When Churchill, when the war was over and the government thought about cutting back on the arts, he said, not going to do the accent, what on earth are we fighting for?
And I don't think that's fair, because I think creatives and artists are just as important to society as anybody else, as I've explained. So I think making these cuts is just going to dissuade people even more from going into the arts.
Both the Norfolk and Norwich Festival and Norwich Theatre Royal will have their 90% funding slashed by County Council.
The Arts Council cuts haven't had a direct impact on us as a theatre, but clearly it will have an impact on the many companies who rely on it for touring purposes, and it could mean that there are less opportunities for companies to tour around the UK, including to the likes of Norwich, as a result of these cuts.
And I can't believe that they're considering reducing 90% of it.
I'm very surprised because I believe Norfolk and Suffolk have really benefited from that.
A staff of Norfolk and Norwich Festival just said they had already got a paper about the funding cuts, but it will not affect on this year's festival.
I think that cutting any kind of funding for the festival would be such a shame. It's such an amazing event, and I think it's something that makes Norwich really special and unique that it has it, and it would just be like devastating if it wasn't there anymore, basically.
The Norwich Arts Centre, which has won the National Prize at the NMA's Best Small Venue in 2014, has also affected by the funding cuts, which has reduced to £7,767.
Most of my friends go there and they get quite inspired by it. They write songs, they do paintings. So 3 of my mates started writing scripts for plays because they went there and got inspired by it. So if that gets cut, that's going to be terrible because my friends, that's their place to go to.
There's so many people who are drawn to the arts as a career and as something that they really want to pursue and have passion for. And when the council decides to take funding away from that, it really leaves a whole sector of people helpless and just unable to do what they want to do.
I have friends who are very interested in drama, other friends who work in the museum service who are facing risk of redundancy, and I just think that more people need to stand up and object to when the arts are hit so hard by cuts that are imposed on them because it's not seen as important as other sections of society when it should be.
Hearing about the funding cuts, some of the artists and the audience has expressed their concerns for the harder effects.
I'm taking part in the Norfolk and Norwich Festival this year, and I've heard about how the cuts are going to affect that next year. It means that there's less opportunity for people like songwriters like me and other performers. There's less venues, or there's less opportunities where they can perform. It hasn't had an effect yet, but I think it possibly will for the future.
In particular, British people, we're not actually that good at that much stuff anymore. We sort of buy our services in and we buy our goods in, and we go to Asia and places like that to buy technology, and it's good when someone's good at something that they can show their work, and if we're cutting funding for that, that's not a good thing.
Board in all departments, and of course the arts community, as in many other communities in the county, are in the same position. It is disappointing. I'm sure the County Council share the disappointment that arts organisations have, and it's now an opportunity for arts organisations to take a look at other forms of funding and hopefully find the financial means to be able to carry on with their programmes of work and performance.
The Meadow Market Theatre has reduced to 1,420 this year, but the volunteer Roger Lloyd, who working here for 15 years, has said there has no effect by the funding cuts.
Meadow Market Theatre is a charity and it is entirely self-funding. It means that the money that it takes from the box office for its shows and its lettings has to cover our costs. We are fortunate in that since we have no grants, any cuts in grants, either nationally or locally, does not affect us. We would of course like to receive money, but since we don't get any, we have to manage on our own. The smaller companies who receive a cut, it makes a bigger difference to them than the very big companies which receive a cut. All cuts are unfortunate in that in many ways they diminish the creative ability, the creative attractiveness of the community.
It can be earlier to see the future effects on the arts funding cuts. We will keep focusing on it.